our words ring out so loud tonight that Andrew Cuomo can hear them in his $8,000 a month apartment. Let them ring so loud so that he can hear us even if he's in Westchester this evening. Let them ring so loud that his puppet master in the White House hears us. New York is not for sale.
That was from Sunday's boisterous rally in Queens for Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for mayor in New York City. The 13,000-seat venue was nearly filled with supporters. It featured progressive stars Senator Bernie Sanders, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And we are now exactly 1 week away from Election Day across the country. We've got big races in New York City, along with two other major elections for governor in New Jersey and Virginia. MSNBC will have special election coverage beginning at 7 p.m. next Tuesday. I'll be there with Rachel and the whole team, so tune in for that. Zohran Mamdani continues to hold a double-digit lead in that New York race. But in these final weeks, it has become a more hard-fought contest between Mamdani and his rivals, the former governor, Andrew Cuomo, and Republican Curtis Sliwa.
Andrew Cuomo will spend much of tonight attacking me. He is a desperate man, lashing out because he knows that the one thing he's always cared about, power, is now slipping away from him.
President Trump has to respect you. He has said he'll take over New York if Mamdani wins, and he will, because he has no respect for him. He thinks he's a kid.
He wants Andrew Cuomo to be the mayor, not because it will be good for New Yorkers, but because it will be good for him.
Number of homeless since I left has more than doubled.
Andrew, you didn't leave. You fled from being impeached by the Democrats in the state legislature.
The city has been getting screwed by the state, and that has to change, and the city has to be doing better.
We just had a former governor say in his own words that the city has been getting screwed by the state. Who was leading the state? It was you.
Joining us now is Zohran Mamdani, Democratic nominee in the New York City mayoral election, state assembly member here in New York. Good to have you back.
Great to be back. Thank you.
Andrew Cuomo has said that if he loses the race, he's going to move to Florida because things will go so far south in the city. If you lose the race, where are you moving?
I'm staying right where I am because I'm a New Yorker, and it's not contingent on winning or losing an election.
You've got a very, very big set of billionaires spending a lot of money right now in a super PAC. We should explain to people that New York has public financing. It seems to me like it's actually been a key part of the success of your campaign. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what New York's public financing does is it provides an 8-to-1 match for New Yorkers' donations from whether $10 to $250. It's what allowed us to build a campaign focused on working people because we didn't have to call those who were benefiting from the crisis affecting those working people.
And in fact, at a certain point, you had enough donor. I mean, you were cutting ads saying like no more donations,
Please
which
stop.
I've never seen a candidate do. But because Citizens United is still the law of the land, right? It can't regulate that speech because that's the Supreme Court says in the Constitution. So you have Michael Bloomberg, who's giving $8.3 million, Joseph Gebbia, $3 million, the Louder family, Bill Ackman, a lot of money, a lot of ads. What is your understanding of why they're spending so much? It's a lot of money.
You know, I think Bill Ackman might be under the impression that for every word he tweets, he has to spend that kind of money. And so that might be why we see so much of these donations. But I think what it really comes down to is that a lot of these same billionaires, you know, Ackman, the former co-founder of Airbnb, these are also the same billionaires who funded Donald Trump's campaign and his second term specifically. And what we're seeing is that they see just as good of an investment, not in Washington, D.C., but also here in New York City in electing Donald Trump's puppet, Andrew Cuomo. And they want to ensure that the narrow path that he has is paved with the same money that gave us this authoritarian administration.
How much is just material interest, right? Like you say you want to raise taxes on the richest New Yorkers. Why wouldn't the richest New Yorkers spend a lot of money to defeat you, right? Doesn't that make a certain amount of sense?
It does, but they're spending more money than I would even tax them. And I think that is in part because of a sense
ideological belief, commitment.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm serious.
It is, but I also think it's a sense that politics shouldn't actually be decided by the people of the city. There's a restlessness amongst those like Bill Ackman that there could be a movement that repudiates the very kind of politics that he's funded. And that is a politics that doesn't provide him with the access that he has become all too familiar with across this country.
Donald Trump was invoked a lot on that debate, and obviously sort of looms over all this, particularly because when I had you here where you talked a little bit about the sort of targeting cities with these kind of enforcement surges and calling the National Guard. I want to play you something he said today in Japan in front of American service members, where he said he's going to do more than the National Guard. He's going to send actual troops into cities. Take a listen.
We have cities that are troubled. We can't have cities that are troubled. And we're sending in our National Guard. And if we need more than the National Guard, we'll send more than the National Guard, because we're going to have safe cities. We're not going to have people killed in our cities. And whether people like that or not, that's what we're doing. And, people don't care. If we send in our military, if we send in our National Guard, if we send in Space Command, they don't care who the hell it is. They just want to be safe.
I don't think New Yorkers react very well to Space Command showing up in New York. Do you take this as a serious threat to plan for and deal with?
Yes, we have to treat every one of these threats from Donald Trump as something that we should prepare for, because we know that we cannot count on him trying to adhere to a rule of law or a set of norms. He will do whatever it is that he wants to. We have to show that we will stand up for New Yorkers every single step of the way. And everything that you just heard with a justification of safety, it has nothing to do with safety. It has everything to do with intimidation. If it was safety, the National Guard would be being sent to the 8 out of 10 states that have the highest crime rates, but it's not, because those are actually Republican-led. What this is about is trying to terrorize people across this country into understanding that authoritarianism is the only way forward.
You talk about safety a lot. I got a mailer at my door the other day. It's talked about a safer city for you and your family. The crime rate in this city has dropped considerably in the aftermath of COVID and under Mayor Adams, including the most serious and violent crimes, assault, homicide chiefly. What is your theory and understanding of why that's happened?
I think part of this is a part of larger national trends, and I think that we've seen crime spiking, especially in the peak of the pandemic. And also, I appreciate the leadership of Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who came into an NYPD that Eric Adams had stacked with corruption and incompetence, started to root that out, deliver accountability, and reduce crime across the 5 boroughs. And my vision is to build upon that under my administration, in tandem with creating a Department of Community Safety. Because when you ask New Yorkers, where do you feel least safe, you'll often hear the subway system. And that's not something that's borne out in statistics, but it's borne out in their anecdotes of their life. And oftentimes what they're actually referring to is instances and examples of a mental health crisis, of a homelessness crisis. And for far too long, we've asked police officers to be responsible for those crises as opposed to responsible for police work.
Your announcement that you would keep on this police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, who, again, if you look at the numbers, I think has had some considerable success. A bunch of people said to me, "Oh, he must be losing," or the polls are tightening, or what's the deal? What is your response to people who see this as a calculated move to the center, or trying to shore up a flank as you're getting pummeled by millions of dollars of super PAC advertising?
If I was being motivated by the millions of dollars of super PAC ads, then we would have run a very different campaign from the beginning of this. This is not about polling. This is about actually delivering for the people of this city. And what I have seen time and time again, and said as well, is that safety is the bedrock of an affordability agenda. And I'm looking forward to delivering that safety and doing so while furthering and fulfilling the agenda I've been running on, which is that of safety and justice.
On the affordability agenda, Donald Trump very famously ran on bringing prices down on day one. Now, he decided to raise prices by tariffing everything, which is not the way you really want to go. But I will say this, there is no price go down dial in Gracie Mansion, right? There's certainly not one in the White House, and there sure as heck isn't one. Now, obviously, you have specific areas, right? The rent board, you try to deal with that, and buses. But generally, where people feel the squeeze, their electricity bill, groceries, things like that, you have to be aware, right, that many of the things that make people feel squeezed, you are not going to control.
Look, there are things that are absolutely functions of the private sector. But what I've also been frustrated by is that politicians understanding themselves as if spectators to this affordability crisis. 2.5 million New Yorkers in this city live in rent-stabilized housing. The city determines if their rent increases every year or not. That is no small thing. This mayor has increased their rents by more than 12%. After housing, the number one cost in this city is childcare. The previous mayoral administration delivered universal pre-K. That took an immense burden off of the backs of working-class families. We're going to deliver universal child care, which would take off $22,500 a year on average from the backs of these parents. And finally, buses. $2.90. Doesn't sound like that much, but in this city, 1 in 5 New Yorkers cannot afford that. I give these to you as concrete examples because it's not about mimicking the manner in which Donald Trump set out to deliver or never deliver these promises. It's in fact about diagnosing this problem and then delivering on it. And these are clear ways that government can intervene and do exactly that.
New York mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani. Thank you.